Good morning. Today is Sunday, the 20th day of Iyar. And today we are finishing the chapter 49 in the Tanya. And being that yesterday was Shabbos, we'll just review briefly what the Alter Rebbe said in yesterday's lesson. And generally, these few chapters, as we mentioned in the previous days, the Alter Rebbe is guiding us how to serve Hashem with love and with emotions, with passion, and to get the feeling of love to Hashem. In addition to many other methods that he discussed in previous chapters, the Alter Rebbe here talks about the concept of kamayim aponim el aponim, just like the reflection of your face in the water when you do something good to a person. It creates a feeling of love to that person. So when we think of what Hashem does for us, this should create in us a feeling of love to Hashem. And more specifically, he mentioned in the beginning of the chapter 49 that although it's easier said than done. It's easier in theory to love Hashem, just like it's easier in theory to love your wife or your husband. When it comes to actually getting down to it and realizing that you have to sacrifice something, it gets a little more difficult. And one of the ways of achieving this, to do something for the other, is by thinking and meditating on the fact that the other person does the same for you. And the same thing the Alter Rebbe says. When we think about what Hashem does for us, when you think about it, this allows us that automatically our hearts should become filled with love to Hashem and ready to go and give over to Hashem and sacrifice our own needs, our own desires, what we want to do, and to give it over to Hashem. However, we need to do it every day. Since this is we discussed about the V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha, should love Hashem, what we say in the Shema, love God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul. And he explains, what does that mean? This is when you have your own needs with all your hearts. What is all your hearts? The things that your heart desires. So we spoke about what is the way Hashem put in our heart the nature of loving our wives and loving our children. So, and that also has to be put aside. And we explained in Friday's lesson, doesn't mean you have to neglect your wife and children, but what it does mean is that when this is something that you do for your own good, don't use it as an excuse not to go to study Torah, not to daven. Oh, I have to care for my children, I have to care for my wife. You do it for yourself. Because caring for your wife and children should not be in conflict with serving Hashem. On the contrary, when you serve Hashem properly, you'll care for your wife and children better. But what it means to give away for Hashem, the love for wife and children, it means your own personal benefits that you feel, you desire, and you want, this you put away. And the same thing is, b'chol nafshecha, with all your, when you give everything from you, your health, of course, you have to be healthy. But everything what you have, you do it for Hashem. B'chol moedecha, with your money, all of this, giving over your soul, your life, your desires, all of this is what it says in the Kriyat Shema, when you say the Shema. Now the question is, as we learned yesterday's lesson, every single day, how do you get to this point? It's not easy to automatically push a button and that's it. I love Hashem, I'm ready to give everything away. Says the Alter Rebbe, this is why our sages established in the prayer the two blessings before the Shema. Usually when you say a blessing, say a bracha, the blessing is connected with the mitzvah. You put on tefillin, you say, thank you, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Ata Hashem, Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvaysav, blessed are you, God, that you sanctified us with your commandments and you commanded us to wear tefillin. Or when you light the candles, Baruch Ata Hashem, the same thing. Thank you, Hashem, that you sanctified us and you commanded us lighting the Shabbos candles and so on. But here, the blessings of the Shema that we say before Shema, saying Shema is a mitzvah. But the blessings that our sages called Birchos Shema, the blessing of Shema, seems that it has nothing to do with the Shema. And the Alter Rebbe explains here that they do have a lot to do with Shema. And what is it? The two blessings, they're long blessings. I would say before Shema, those are blessings that prepare us to get to this feeling of what Shema requires from us. Why? Because when you see what the blessings talk about, first blessing talks about the great level of the angels up there, that they're saying, Kadosh, 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 there Hashem is holy, it's been separated. And the angels ask, where is Hashem? Where can he be found? Where can Hashem be found? This is not from this blessing, but in it talks about in the blessing of the Shema. What does it say? Hashem put his covered, his glory, is placed at where? In this world. Meaning that all these great angels of the greatest spiritual levels, what they are trying to achieve, and as explained in different levels, different angels, that if you look in yesterday's class, and this explains that Hashem is found right here with us. Hashem lives everything, all these spiritual worlds, and it comes down to this physical world to be in us. That's the first blessing. The second blessing of Shema is Avas Olam Aftanu Hashem Elokeinu, or others say Ava Rabbah. That Hashem, the love, focuses more on the love, not so much on the great levels of the angels, but more of the love that Hashem shows to us, that He's connecting with us. And it becomes Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem becomes our God. This is the great love. It says, you have so much great mercy and compassion on us. Greater. What is the Yesera greater? Greater than what? Greater than what he has towards the higher levels of spiritual angels. And then we finish that blessing, Ubanu b'charta mikolam v'lashem. That in us, you chose us from all the nations. That Hashem chose the Jewish people and gave us this neshama. And he gave us that special soul in the body of Am Yisrael. This is what Hashem chose when you think about it. And when you pay attention to these blessings, says the Alter Rebbe, this will call you should become reciprocate with love to Hashem. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is saying in today's lesson. So let's look inside. There we go. Says the Alter Rebbe, "V'hinei kasher yosim amaskil eile hadvarim el kadeliba." When a thinking person will reflect on these matters in the depth of his heart, and his brain, azay mimeile kamayim aponim laponim, then surely, automatically, as water mirrors the image of a face, tislahit nafshoi v'sislabesh beruach nediva. His soul will spontaneously be kindled with love to Hashem, and it will clothe itself in a spirit of benevolence. What does that mean? Leisnadev, leaniach, velazev, kol hashaloi mineged. Willingly to lay down and resolutely to abandon all he possesses. Why? For it will no longer be a major importance to him. What is going to be importance? The importance to cleave to Hashem. Only to cleave to Hashem. In order only to cleave unto Him and to be absorbed into His light with an attachment and longing and so forth. In a matter of kissing. What is a kiss? Alter Rebbe is going to explain what is behind a kiss. What is the meaning of a kiss? The spiritual kiss we can learn from a physical kiss. He says, "V'izdapkus rucha berucha," which is the attachment of a spirit to spirit, has been explained earlier. When you have the idea of a kiss is when a person has so much emotion and he wants to share this emotion with the other person, it is expressed through the kiss. The kiss is not just a physical touch. It is an emotional touch. A spirit connects with the spirit. So the same thing, when a person gets excited about God, when he gets spiritual, here comes the Torah and tells you that when you get so excited, you need to put it in a form of a kiss. It places it it connects it, it places it in an actual method of how to connect. What does it mean? Says the Alter Rebbe, that right after this, when the Torah says, "Ve'ahavtas Hashem eleikecha," that you should love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. What does the Torah says? That these words, "V'ayu advarim ha'ele," these words that I tell you should be on your heart, and then v'dibarta bam, you should speak in them. Comes the Alter Rebbe and explains. Ach eichi b'chinas is dapkus rucha berucha. But how does the attachment of a spirit to spirit take place? Meaning, what measure are to be taken if one seeks to desire to only cleave to Hashem? This is what the Torah continues to say. This is what it states. And these words shall be al levavecha, on your heart. V'dibarta bam, and you shall speak of them. Says the Alter Rebbe, speaking, studying Torah, and speaking of the Torah is the idea of the kiss. And as is explained in Eitz Chaim, the book of the Kabbalah, written by the student of the Arizal, sheyichud aneshikin ikaroi hu yichud chochma bina das vechochma bina das. He says the union of kissing, which incorporates the union of the attachment of spirit to spirit, is essentially the union of Chabad with Chabad. What does it mean? The wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, the intellect of the Torah. Understanding the Torah is like the spirit connection. V'hapeh, and the mouth. Well, the mouth as the outlet of the breath and its emergence into a revealed state. This represents the category of speech engaged in words of Torah. Because by the words that proceeds from God's mouth does man live. So this, says Alter Rebbe, Mikol Makoim, so this is the physical connection with Hashem. is when you have when you connect, you have this excitement in the spirit. What do you have to do? Kiss. Bring it out in a kiss. What is the kiss? Is the understanding the Torah, the studying. This is the inner part of the kiss, which is the emotional, the spiritual part of the kiss, which is understanding the intellect of the godly intellect, which is in the Torah. However, it's not enough only thinking about it. Studying Torah needs to be verbalized. Why? Says the Alter Rebbe, however, one does not fulfill one's obligation by meditation and the liberation alone. Ad sheyotzi bisfasav kedei lehamshich oyer ein sof baruch hu lemata. Unless one expresses the words with his lips in order to draw down the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof downwards, even unto the vivifying soul. Ad nefesh hachiyunis, asher chenes b'dam ha'adam. When you speak the words, speaking takes energy from the vivifying soul. So that is why when you speak the words of Torah, you're bringing down God's energy down into the vivifying soul that animates your speech. And this energy comes from the intake of the food, which is from the minerals, vegetation, and the animal worlds. And all of this is why, in order to elevate thereby all of them, with the entire world, and to include them into God together with all the entire universe. And causes them to be absorbed into his blessed unity and light, which will illuminate the world and its inhabitants in a revealed manner. As it says, V'nigla kvoid Hashem, it says the Mashiach will come and it will be the glory of God shall be revealed. V'rou kol basar, so much so indeed that all flesh shall see it. Shezeu tachlis ishtalshelus kol ha'olamos. This is the purpose of the progressive descent of all of the worlds. Liyis kvoid Hashem molei kol haaretz, that the glory of God may pervade this physical world. Alazu davka, especially this world. Mibchinas gilu, in a revealed manner, le'ahapcha chasheicha l'noira, in order to change the darkness into light, the darkness of that conceals godliness. The clip is to change them into light. Umerira lemiska, and bitterness to change into sweetness. Kaniska la'el ba'arichus has been explained above in chapter 36 at length. V'zeu tachlis kavonas odom ba'aveidosoi lehamshich oyer ein sof baruch hu lemata. And this is the essence of the intent of a man's service, is to draw the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof down below. However, in order to do this, in order to be able to draw down below, you have to have the emotion that comes from you. However, the initiative must come through the elevation of Mayim Nukvim. What is Mayim Nukvim? Literally means the female waters, which refers to the arousal of the female, meaning the recipient. We are the recipient. So when we are aroused into connecting to Hashem, which again comes as by way of waking up in the morning and saying the Shema, and saying it with the preparation of the Shema. That's why everything, all of the prayer started, it was in stages. To surrendering to him one's soul and and one's all, as explained above. But how does I think this is it. This is the end of the chapter. This is another comment. Must have been a mistake here. So this is the end of the chapter. He's telling us, they say that as I started saying, the tefillah, the prayer was developed in stages. Beginning, there was earlier days they said the Shema. Then our sages came and said, no, we have to say the preparation, the blessing of the Shema. What we explained today, what is the meaning of the blessings of the Shema? To be able to understand, appreciate the greatness, the length what Hashem goes, that even the angels, the greatest angels, when they're asking, where is Hashem's presence, they say, right here, down here in this world. Those and the next blessing, the Ava Seilam Aftanu, Hashem loves us, and going to details of all of the great love that Hashem loves us, and it gives us this great privilege to be with us. Then we have the Psukkah de Zimra that was added also to say all the verses, the Alaluka, also describing this physical world, the greatness and the angels and the mountains and the waters and everything that Hashem created. And today what we need to do is to learn Tanya, to learn Chassidus. Wake up in the morning before you start all of this, is to understand the mystical meaning of Hashem's presence, Hashem's being here in this world, and Hashem's connection to us. And when we prepare like this to the davening is a different davening. And then we get to the Shema and the connecting to Hashem. And then we get, after davening, we sit down and we study Torah, which is the kissing of Hashem, in bringing this great excitement into actual connection. So this is the end of today's shiur. Thank you so much for joining.
Rabbi Cohen, can we do Shema?
We're going to do the Shema right now. Thank you so much for joining. And any questions also before we do the Shema, we can take the questions.